see out here, this is the Excel sheet, that is the course contents which we will be discussing in our course. Okay. So on the first day, I just told the brief introduction to Selenium and the topics that we will be covering in our syllabus. All right.
Okay.
So that is, I just told the brief history of Selenium and what is the basic difference between the DLL and the exe files, and just the documentation for the Selenium. I just showed that.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Yes. So as you can see out here, so in the first 3 days, we will be just covering the basics of the programming language, which will contain the OOPS concepts as well. All right.
Okay.
Because people generally go wrong over here, that they do the concepts of the OOPS. But we will just discuss the basics which we will be requiring in our in implementing the frameworks as well. All right.
Yes.
So that will cover the concept of static and non-static, then the concept of constructors, interfaces. Okay, and then we will move towards Selenium. That is how you can identify the objects with Selenium, and you can work with Selenium in order to implement your projects. Okay, so
Yes.
from the day 4th, Selenium will start, and these are all the topics that will be covered with Selenium. That is how you can configure the DLLs in Selenium in your C# project, and then all of these topics, as you can see out here, implicit wait, concept of list, get attribute function. Okay, and then we have a drop-down handling, alert management, pop-up handling, web tables, concept of frame. Sorry. Then also we will see how you can work with Excel files. That is how you can how to read and write the data from the Excel file. That is done with the help of the endpoint APIs. So I will tell you that also. And then after that, we will be moving towards the testing frameworks that will be done with the help of NUnit. Okay, and then after that, we will be taking up a project, a sample project, a framework, which we will be discussing in our syllabus.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
So this is the Excel sheet. Any doubts you have regarding the topics that would be covered?
No, not yet.
Okay. And then we will be also doing the Jenkins and Grid implementation as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have this Excel sheet, and then on the first day, I just explained the basics. That is, I assume that you know the basics of programming language. That is the if statement, for loop, how to declare the variables, right? You
Yes.
might be knowing that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So like this was the application that I created. That is, I created a console application sample project, which contains, as you can see, 4 folders that come up by default when you create any project. Okay.
Right.
And right. So this is the app.config file, which will contain the configuration, and then we have a CS class file .cs class file, which contains the main method inside it. Okay, and then inside it, I just declare 2 variables, that is x variable 5 and s is equal to hello, a string variable. And then in order to print something in C# in your Visual Studio, we have a statement that is console.writeLine. Okay, so console.writeLine statement will print anything on the console output window. Alright, and the shortcut for it is you write CW and press double tap key. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So like and in order to run this code, you just select start button, and then you see that the console output window has come that prints Selenium over it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was just the basics that I just told on the first day as well.
Oh,
All right?
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we'll move ahead. As we all know that we can have any number of class files in a single project, right? We can
Right.
have any number of class files. So, uh, so these and so like as this you can see that this is console dot writeline statement. From where does it come? If say suppose um, so now what the developers do is that, like as we know that we can have any number of class files in a single project. So what the developers do is that they put all the types of files in a single file, which is called the DLL file. For example, if you look into this references folder as well, which comes up when you create a project. So these are the class files that come up automatically by default. By default, when you add any project, these DLL files come up automatically. Okay, so C Sharp is a collection of DLL file, and every DLL file is a collection of class. There are some inbuilt classes in C Sharp as well, which we can use. Say suppose if I have to print the current date and time of my system, then what do you write? Console.writeline, and I write datetime dot now. So now when I run my code, so it prints the current date and time of my system, right? So from where does this function came? We need not have to know that from where did this function come. Date time dot now. So date time is an inbuilt class in C Sharp that you are just accessing it, that you are just using it in your code. Okay, so it is an internal class. So say suppose if I just uncomment this namespace. So what is a namespace? A namespace is a collection of classes. It is a collection of classes. Say suppose if I comment this using .system namespace, so here you see that the error starts coming up in your code. So these are the namespaces, that is, and these namespaces comes from by referencing these DLL files into your project. All right. Under the system class, we have these properties that we are just accessing it into our program. Console comes from the system namespace, system class, and then the date time also comes from the system class. Right. So if you can extract date so easily by using some internal features which are there inside the C Sharp, then similarly in Selenium as well, when you learn Selenium, there is no rocket science that you have to learn each and everything about Selenium. That how will you be able to learn it? It is just the existing APIs and the features of the APIs that you need to learn in order to learn the Selenium. Okay, so if we look into the documentation of the C Sharp as well, which is there on the official website of Selenium, that is seleniumhq.org. So here we go to documentation, the downloads. So here you have a C Sharp API docs. We go to the documentation of C Sharp, and out here you can see that these are all the topics. These covers the topics inside the C Sharp. Okay, so these are all the topics. So you just need to learn the features of few of them, which we will be covering in our syllabus. We need not to know all of them. We just need to know the some of the basic features, some of these class files that we will be discussing in our syllabus as well. Okay, so did you get it?
Yes.
All right. So now, if we start with the concept of OOP, everything starts with object, as we all know. Now, what is an object? What happens in memory is that when you create, how do you create an object inside a C Sharp, inside a class file? and how to use it in Selenium. We will just look into that. Okay, but before that, we need to download the DLLs for the Selenium as well, right? And one more thing, Selenium is not installed, it is configured.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we just need to we just need to configure the need to add the DLL files into our C# project. Okay, so how do you do that? Like if we go to the official website of Selenium, seleniumhq.org, you go to the download section, right? And out here you can see C#, and then you can download the Selenium DLLs from here.
Oh, okay.
Right, so you click on the download button, and then it will ask you to save it, and then you can just reference it. Okay, say suppose I'll just show you. So it has been downloaded, and I'll just extract it. Okay, so it is there. So these are the DLL files which comes up when you download the Selenium DLLs from the official website. Alright, so like and then how do you add it? Say we have this references folder, the folder in which we need to add all our DLL files in order to work with it. Okay, so what do? You right click on the references folder, select add reference, and then you browse to the path of your the path to the location where you have kept your DLL files. Okay, so I have it in the downloads. Then we go there. So these are the files. I select all and I click on the add button, and you go to OK. Alright, so here you see that webdriver.support, webdriver, thoughtworks.selenium.core, and a selenium.webdriver backend Selenium, backed Selenium. So these are the 4 DLLs that we have copied. We have added the references of inside our project. Okay, so this is how you can just configure Selenium in your project. And one more thing, like I showed you how you can configure Selenium in your project. And one more method is that you can configure the Selenium DLLs by one more method, which is you go to the references, you right click on the references folder, and you go to manage Nugget packages. Okay, and over here you search for a WebDriver. That is, you can also configure the Selenium DLLs from the Nugget package manager as well. Alright, so we just search for the WebDriver, and then out here you can see that Selenium WebDriver. This is the Selenium WebDriver. Then you have the Selenium WebDriver Chrome driver, support class for the Selenium IE driver, WebDriver backed Selenium Chrome driver. So these are all the DLLs that we just added right now by going just to the by downloading it from the website, and then you can add the reference of into your project, or you can simply add it from the Nugget package manager as well. So these are the 2 methods which you can just apply according to your choice or requirement. Right?
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. So, either method is okay. Like,
I think.
okay, so both the things, like either manage the Nugget package or right click and then select all the downloaded files. That is one and the same. Oh, okay.
Yes, that is one and the same thing. Okay, right. So this is how we just added it, and now if we look into I'll just tell you how you can open the Firefox browser or any. We'll just see how you can open the 3 browsers from in your C# project. All right. So say I write new Firefox driver. Okay, and when you write, so it is giving you an error stating the type or namespace named Firefox driver could not be found. So since this Firefox driver comes under the Selenium DLLs, so we have to include the namespace. We have to include the reference from where this Firefox driver class comes from, right? So what you do, you just hover your mouse, you just take your mouse to this Firefox driver, this word Firefox driver, and then you press Control plus dot, and then this will come, this dialog box, these hints will come. From there you just select using openqa.selenium.firefox, which will be added into your class file at the top. Alright, so now the error has gone. So this Firefox driver class comes from openqa.selenium.firefox namespace, which you have to include in order to use this Firefox driver class in your project. Okay, so I just pressed that. I just have done it, and now when I run my code, okay, it says driver service does not exist. Oh yeah, oh yes. Actually, like as we know that the version of Selenium has changed. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, so actually this version for C Sharp, like Selenium has changed. It has changed to Selenium 3.0. And in that we have to include with the Firefox, in order to open the Firefox, we have to include the reference of the Gecko driver, the exe file for the Gecko driver inside inside the constructor of the Firefox driver class. All right, so like we have to change the code for that, and in order to do that, like as just a second, I'll tell you that also. And just a second, if I include the DLL from the Nugget package manager, I'll install it. Alright, so here you saw that the version for when you install the WebDriver DLLs from the Nugget package manager, inside this the version has not changed. So here you see that the version is still the older version, which is 2.53.1, and it is just the version has just changed 2 to 3 days back only. Alright, so it has been updated in the website, but it has not been updated in the inside the Nugget package manager. Since, as you can see that it is last published in 29th June. This Nugget package manager has not been updated. Okay, so actually we just came to know like previous 2 to 3 days back only that the version has changed, so we have to change the code for that, and I have to look into that. That is the gecko driver.exe file. I'll tell you that also. For the time being, we will work with the previous older version of the Selenium. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So I'll just tell you in 2 to 3 days the how to work with the newer version as well.
Okay.
Right?
So you will be explaining us like if the new version of Selenium changes, how to update it in the Nugget.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So we have this I just created the object of the Firefox driver class. Okay, I'll just include it from the Nugget package manager. Uh, just a second, I'll just remove it from the packages.config file, and then I'll add it. And then we have this. I press Control plus Start, and then to include the reference of this class that comes from openqa.selenium.firefox. And now when I run my code, so here you see that a blank Firefox has opened up before you. Right.
Right.
So this is just the inbuilt class files, the just the like as you we just configured the Selenium DLL into our project, and all the classes that comes, all the properties, all the classes, that functions that come up that are there inside the Selenium DLLs will be easily accessible to you. You can just use them anywhere according to your requirement. Right. So this is just an inbuilt class. The Firefox driver is an internal class inside the Selenium DLL that you just use in your project. And with this, you can do a lot many functions as well, a lot more functions. Too many things. You can just open any browser as well, and can perform anything. I'll tell you that also. Right. So this was just an introduction to Selenium. That is, which I just told you that how you can open the Firefox driver after configuring the Selenium DLLs in your project. Okay, and then jumping over to the concept of oops, where we were on the concept of oops. So what I will do, say I add a new class file into my project, or I'll add a new project. I'll add a control application. Just a second. And say I day 2. Okay, so we have this project with us, and I was telling you the concept of oops. Let us just look into that, some of the basic concepts. So what I will do, I'll add a new class into my project. Say I add a friend class. Okay, so say we have two properties of the friend class with us, that is the name of the friend and the phone number. I'll declare them as public. All right. So we have these two properties of the friend class, the name and the phone number of the friend. Right. So in my this is a friend class, and with this inside this program.cs class file, which contains main method, like, and so now we will see how to create the object of this friend class. So how you create the object of the friend class? You say, when we write new friend, so now the object of the friend class would be created. So this creates the object of the friend class, that is the new keyword. Right? So new, with the help of new, you can just create the object of the friend class. It creates the object, and like you can create as many number of objects of the friend class. Say suppose if I add another object of the friend class, and then I add one more object and one more object. So I have created four objects of the friend class, right? So what happens in the memory? Inside the memory, four objects would be created of the friend class. And in all the four objects, the two properties that we have declared inside the friend class would be there. That is the name and the phone number. Similarly, in the second object as well, we would be having the name and the phone number, and in the fourth object as well. Okay, so inside the memory, every object will have its own the two properties that we have declared for the friend class, right? Okay, so now in order to access this object, you cannot access it directly. You cannot access it directly like this. When you write new friend, you cannot access it directly, the object of the friend class. So how you do that? Like, and look, there is a difference between object and object reference. One more thing to note over here, difference between object and object reference. Both are different. Okay, say suppose if we write friend f1 is equal to new friend. Okay, then f1 out here is the object, is an object reference, is the reference to the object of the friend class. By declaring new friend, you create the object of the friend class, and out here f1 is the reference, it is the object reference, it is not an object, it is the reference to the object f1, right? Similarly, if I create another object of the friend class, say f2 is equal to new friend. So out here, this is the second object of the friend class, and f2 is the reference to the object of the second object that we have inside the memory. Okay, so now each friend, for each friend, I can give a different value. Say, suppose for the first, we have the name of the first friend as, say, A, and then we have the phone number is equal to, say, I write 100. Alright, and similarly for the second friend also you can assign the value, and for the phone number that is 200. Okay, so what will happen inside the memory? We have two objects with us right now, f1 and f2, right? So, and for the first friend, for the inside the first object, we have the name and the phone number. That is, for the first friend, the name has been assigned as A, and the value of the phone number is 100, right? And similarly, in the second object, also, the name is B, and we have a phone number that is 200, that is equal to 200 inside the for the first object, right? So now, so this is the reference to the first object. F1 is the reference to the first object, which is pointing towards the object, and similarly F2 is the reference to the second object, which would be pointing towards the second object. Alright, F1, you cannot say F1 is an object. This is an object inside the memory. F1 is just the reference which would be pointing towards the first object, which you can just use to access the properties of the friend class. Alright?
Yeah.
Yes. And similarly, F2 is pointing towards the second class. Okay, so object and object references both are different. This is an object and this is the reference, that is the name that you just specify the object. F1 is just the reference, right? So if we have to print, say if I have to print the name of the first friend, then you can simply print it like this, and similarly you print it f2 dot name. Alright, and then I'll write console dot read key. So we write console dot read key in order to see the output. If I I just told this in the first class as well. What is why we write console.read key? It is because in order to freeze the stream, in order to see the output of our code, we write console.read key. If you don't write console.read key and you run your code, then here you see, then you saw that the console output, it just vanished away so fast, right? You were not able to see the output of our code. So now if I write console.read key, I just click on the start button, and now you can just see the output. All right. So this is the use of console.read key statement in order to freeze the screen and see the output of our code. Okay.
Yeah.
And then another thing is that as we can see out here, that objects would be created inside the memory, and then you can never move. Objects can never move. References can move from one location to another. Say if I'll just explain you with the help of an example. Say if I write f1 is equal to f2. I write f1 is equal to f2. So just understand this very carefully. It is very important. All right. So now what I have done, I have written f1 is equal to f2. So we have two objects with us, f1 and f2. This is the first object. This is f1 and this is f2. F1 is pointing towards the first object and F2 is pointing towards the second object. So now when I write F1 is equal to F2, so out here F1 is pointing, it is referencing towards the first object. And then when I write F1 is equal to F2, then what will happen is that F1 will stop pointing towards the location where it is pointing right now. That is, it will no longer point towards the first object, and it will be pointed towards the it will point towards the location where F2 is pointing right now. That is, now F1 would be equal to F2. That is, F1 will also start pointing towards the location where F2 is pointing. Okay, so now when you print the name of both the two friends, that is, you write f1 dot name and then you write f2 dot name. So now what will be printed?
B.
Yes, for both the friends, B will be printed. Both the friends would have B as their name.
Okay.
Like, I'll just put a demarcation for them. And now when I run my code, so here you see that for both the friends, the name of both the friends are B. Since F1 is also pointing towards the location where F2 is pointing, and F2 has has its name as B. Alright, so F1 and F2 are the references. These are not the objects. These are just the objects. And then you can move the reference from one location to another, but you cannot move the objects from one location to another. Objects would be still inside the memory. You cannot move them, but the references can be moved. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you get this concept?
Yes.
All right. Good then. And okay, so I just told you the basic and concept, and then moving towards the Selenium part, we will do side by side both the Selenium and the C Sharp. All right, so that
Okay.
both the concepts would be cleared side by side, parallel. So now moving towards the Selenium, same thing we can do in Selenium as well. Like, as we know that everything is inbuilt, we just need to access the properties, the class files from the DLL files. Okay, you can just create the object of those classes as well. So if suppose I'll just include the references of the Selenium DLL files into this project as well, since we have added a new project. Just include the DLLs. Okay, so it has been added, WebDriver DLL, and then I'll add a new class file, Selenium Basics. Okay, and then inside this class, I'll make a main function. And then one more thing is that in a C# project, you cannot have more than one main function. Inside a single project, you can only have one main function, right? As it over here inside this Selenium Basics class, I have created a main function, and in the program.cs class file also we have one main function. So now when I run my code, it will give you a compile time error stating program compile with main to specify the type that contains the entry point has more than one entry point defined. This class, you can see it contains more than one main function, so it will give you an error. Okay, so in your code inside a single C# project, you can have only one main function. Over here also you can see that it is giving you an error, a line below the main keyword, and over here as well. So when I comment this main function of the program.cs class file, and now when I compile my code, build solution, now the build has been succeeded. There is no error. Okay, so there can be one main function inside a C# project in the Visual Studio which you create. Okay, and then let us just try to work with the Selenium. That is, if I have Firefox driver class, I press Ctrl plus dot and include the reference that comes from openqa.selenium.firefox. Say f1 is equal to new Firefox driver class, and then right. So if I run this, what will it do? It will open a blank Firefox browser before you. Right, so it opens a blank Firefox browser. Okay, so this is the object reference, the object of the Firefox driver class. This is how you create the object, and this is the reference to this Firefox driver class, right? And with this object of the Firefox class, you can fire many functions with the Firefox browser. That is, if I write f1 dot, and here you can see that these are all the functions that you can perform with the Firefox browser. If you have to, if you want to take this browser to a particular URL, then you have the function URL function. If you want to see the title of any web page, then you have title, quit, page source, manage, mouse, navigate. These are all the functions of the Firefox driver class which you can perform with any browser. Say if I have to take this Firefox browser to a particular URL, then we have the function f1.url, and then you give the URL. That is, say we write yahoo.com. Now when I run it, so it opens the Firefox browser and it takes you to the yahoo.com website. Right? So this is how you can just work with it. So with this Firefox browser class, with this object of the Firefox browser class, you can perform any of these functions according to your requirements. Alright, And say suppose if you want to open another Firefox browser, then you can create another object of the Firefox driver class, that is f2 is equal to new Firefox driver. You open another object, right? And say if you want to take this browser to any other URL, that is, say we have a timesofindia.com. And now when I run this code, so now two browsers would be opening up. First browser would take you to the yahoo.com website. So it opens one browser, and then it will open another browser, and this will take you to the Times of India website. Right? So this is how you can open any number of browsers in your project. But generally we open a single browser at one time only. We don't open multiple browsers on the same machine different times. Okay, we generally try to open only one browser. Right, so this is how you can open the Firefox browser. Then similarly, there are references of the Chrome browser, IE browser, Opera, Safari. We can open all of these browsers. So now if you want to work with the Chrome browser, then what we will do, we will similarly create the object of the Firefox Chrome driver as well. I press Ctrl plus dot, and you include the reference to it that comes from openqa.selenium.chrome. Okay, and then I create the object of it. Okay, and then I'll just comment this. And in C#, how you comment the code, the shortcut for it is you press Ctrl plus K plus C. So the code, it would be commented. That is, we have Ctrl plus K plus C in order to comment anything. Alright, so let us just see if it opens the Chrome browser. Okay, so here you see that it is giving us an error stating driver service not found exception. That is, the Chrome driver.exe file does not exist in the current directory or in a directory on the path environment variable. The driver can be downloaded at this particular website. So what the error says is that, look, the Firefox driver with the previous version of the Selenium, we can open the Firefox driver directly. The Firefox driver, you can open it directly. You need not to add any DLL file, any exe file inside it, inside the constructor of the Firefox browser class. But for the Chrome and the IE browser, we have to specify the path to the exe file of the Chrome and the IE browser class. And that too, you can just install it, and like the error also said that you need to install the Chrome driver.exe file. You need to add it inside your constructor of the Chrome browser. Okay, so and then you can install the IE Chrome driver and the IE driver's exe file also from the official website of Selenium. That is out here. You can see that this is the Google Chrome driver. You can install it, latest version with there in the website, and then you can install it from here, for the Windows or Linux or Mac operating system according to your requirement. Okay, so I have it already installed, already there inside my system, and that is there out here. So this is it. So what you need to do, firstly you need to select this path. That is, you need to provide this path inside the constructor of this Chrome driver class. Okay. Firstly, you have to do this, and then secondly, also you need to specify this path inside the environment variable. In the environment variable, also you need to specify the path to the Chrome driver.exe file. So how you do it? Like, we go to the properties of our PC. Then you go to advanced system settings, environment variables, and out here inside the system variable, you will edit the path. We will edit the path, and over here at the end you put a semicolon and add the path to the Chrome driver.exe file. So I think I have already added it. I'll just show you. Yeah, so here it is. Yes. So here you see. So I have added the Chrome driver.exe file path, the path to my Chrome driver.exe file inside the environment variable. Alright, so did you get it?
Yes. So we have to add all the paths of all the browsers one after the other, separating it with
Yes.
a semicolon.
Semicolon, yeah. So okay, so I just provide the Chrome driver.exe files, and then after that, for the IE browser also we need to specify the path. So out here I have specified it for the IE browser as well. Alright, so we need to specify the path to the Chrome browser and IE browser, but not for the Firefox browser. The Firefox browser works automatically.
Oh, okay.
But with the current version of Selenium that has changed right now, for the Firefox browser also we need to specify the exe file, and for that we have to install the Gecko driver and the Myronate browser. So I'll tell you how we can do that also in 2-3 days. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then okay, so we have added now the path. I have added it inside the constructor of my Chrome browser and inside the environment variable as well. So now when I run my code, so now you see that it opens the Chrome browser. Earlier it was not opening up when we did not specify the path to the Chrome driver.exe file inside the constructor. Alright, so now it opens the Chrome browser. Okay, and then with this Chrome browser also you can perform many functions, the same functions that you were able to perform with the Firefox browser. So suppose if we have to take the URL to the, say I write google.com. Now when I run it, so it takes you to the Google website, right? So this is how you can work with Chrome browser. Okay, and then similarly for the IE browser as well, the same thing. That is, we create the object of the Internet Explorer driver class. I press Ctrl+Alt and we include the reference for it, openGUI.selenium.ie, and we create the object of it, right? And then I'll just comment this, and if I run my code, IE browser, so it gives you the same error coming up for the IE browser as well. Driver service not found exception. The IE driver server.exe file does not exist in the current directory or in the path environment variable. Okay, so we need to specify the exe file's path inside the constructor of the IE driver and also in the environment variable as well. Okay, so I have it, and then you can install the IE driver exe file also from the official website of Selenium. Second, I'll just we go to download, and out here you can see that this is the IE driver, IE Explorer, IE driver server, and you can install it. You can install it from over here from it. Okay, and then this version, this 32-bit Windows IE or 64-bit Windows IE. This 32-bit and 64-bit is not your system configuration. It is the IE, the version of the IE. Okay, so you can simply download the 32-bit Windows IE only. Okay, you can just download it and then add the reference of over here. Okay, so I have it already on my system, and that is here. So I'll just take the path, and now when I run it, so you see that it opens a blank IE browser. Right? And then similarly, we can perform the same functions with the IE browser as well. That is, you press IE dot say URL is equal to, say we have to CNN.com. So it takes you to the CNN.com website. Alright, so this is how you can work with the three browsers that I just told you, that is the Firefox browser, Chrome browser, and the Internet Explorer browser. For the Chrome and the IE, you need to specify the exe file path inside the constructor of the respective class and in the environment variable also. Okay, but Firefox browser, it opens up directly. You need not to specify any exe file path over it.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So this is it, and then coming over to the concept of OOPS, back to the concept of OOPS. So now we will see static and non-static. What do you mean by static and non-static variables? Okay.
Okay.
So right over, out here we have this friend class. We have this friend class with us. Say suppose which contains the two properties, that is the name and the phone number of a friend. Say suppose I have another property of the friend class, that is say city. We have another property, that is the city of a friend. Okay, and now I'll comment this code of my Selenium, and we will work with the friend class. I'll uncomment this. All right. So inside the main function, we have created the two objects of the friend class. Okay, that is F1 and F2. And now, say suppose if we assume that first friend is from say London. First friend is say suppose from London, and suppose second friend is also from the same city. Second friend is also from London. We assume that. We assume that all the friends are from a London city only. Okay, so what will happen inside the memory? Inside the memory, we have two objects. Inside the first object, we have the name and the phone number. And similarly, in the second object also, we have the name and the phone number. Earlier we had these two properties. And now we have declared one more property of the friend class, that is the city variable. So city variable would also be there in both the objects of the friend class. Okay, this variable would also be there in every object that you will be creating in your class file. Okay, which would be equated to London. In both the class files, in both the objects, the city variable is equated to a London. But this is a little redundant. Can't don't you notice that, right?
Yeah.
Like this city variable, same city variable, we have to declare it in each and every object. I know that every friend lives in the city London. Then why do I have to keep it inside every object? This is a duplicacy only, right? So
Right.
what we can do is that we will make this city variable as static. That is, inside the friend class, I will declare this variable as static, public static string city. So what this static does for it? It will move the variable out of the object. We had this city variable with us, and now since we have declared this city variable as static, so now it will move this variable out of the object of the respective class, and it will keep the city variable at a common location outside the object from where it would be accessible to both the objects. It will keep it somewhere at a common location. So now the city variable will not be a part of the object. It can be accessed by any object. It will not be a part of every object. It would be there at a common location from where it can be accessed by any object, as many number of objects that you will create in your class file. Okay, so now this city variable doesn't remain inside the object, it becomes the property of the class. It becomes the property of the class from where it can be accessed by as many number of objects as you will create inside your class. Alright, so did you get it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so this is the concept of static. What do you mean by static? And now when you see that, so now when you declare this city variable as static, so now the error has started coming up inside the main function. So it says that the city variable member city cannot be accessed with an instance reference. Qualify it with the type name instead. That is how you can access the class type variables. You cannot access it like that. You cannot access the static variables like this. Like as I told you just now that, so now the city variable would be a part of the class. It would no longer be a part of the object, right? And F2 is an object. We are trying to call the city variable with the help of the object. But from now the city variable has been excluded from the object. It has been taken from the object and it has now become a part of the class. So now, in order to access the city variable, you would have to call it from the class. That is, you write friend.city is equal to London. And for the comments, you have this icon also at the top. You can comment it from here also.
Okay.
Alright, so this is an icon for the comment, right? So this city variable, since this city is now a static variable, and in order to access the static variables, you access it from the class. Since now static variable means it is a common property of the class. So you have to access the static variables with the help of the class. Alright, so now when I declared the city variable as London, so now this city variable would be equal to London for both the friends. Okay, and then one more thing, you cannot access the name and the phone number like this. If I try to access the name and the phone number from the friend class, so now so here you see that you cannot access it with the help of the class. It gives you an error. An object reference is required for the non-static field, method, or property. That is, you cannot access the non-static members inside with the help of the class, since this name and the phone number are non-static, right? These are not static. You cannot access them with the help of the class, since static things become a part of the class, not the object.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it can be accessed. Static things are accessed by the friend, by the class, and non-static are accessed by the object. Okay,
Right.
and then say we have a function. Say I declare a function inside the friend class, that is a public static void print city. Over there, we will be printing the city. Okay, and then out here inside my main function, you can call the print city function in order to print the city. Okay, so now when I run it, so it prints London,
Okay.
right? Okay, so as you saw that, as we can see over here as well, since I declared this print city function as static, so now, so, so, so over here you saw that this print city function is accessible with the help of the class friend class. We cannot access this function with the help of the object of the class, that is f1 dot print city. You cannot
Oh,
call it
correct.
like that, right? Since this print city has been declared as static inside the friend class, and static has to be accessed with the help of the class. Okay, so whatever you make static, no need to access it with the object. You can directly access it with the name of the class only. Okay.
Okay, and to print also we have to declare a function, static function.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Alright. Or else you can print it directly also, like friend dot city.
Oh, okay.
Let me say I comment this, and now when I run it, it will print London city. Okay, since we have declared the value of the city as London over here at the above, and then you can print the city out here. Control dot right line.
Okay.
Yes. So this was the concept of static and non-static, right? So did you get the concept of static and non-static?
Yes.
Yeah. So static means anything which is common for a class. You can declare that variable or function as static, and that would become a part of the class, and it would be accessible to all the objects of that class. You need not to declare it every time, each and every time for each and every object. Say for example, if we take the example of our human beings also, since we all know that we have 2 legs, 2 hands, you need not to specify every time the how many number of legs or hands you have. You can just declare the legs variable as static, and then after that you would be able, every time it would print 2 only.
Right.
Yeah. Anything you want to ask?
No.
All right. Okay, so we'll stop here then.